Open science, which includes access to data, well-documented data, is critical for DEIA. What we find is through our history, the biases, geopolitical challenges, there's not equal equity to scientific information, scientific research outcomes, the data that underpins it, software, and the work that's happening within the UNESCO recommendations on open science and supported across all the countries of the world, nearly all, is critical. In the Earth and space sciences, what we're finding is that most research teams are not single individuals. They are usually an international team, because the phenomena of Earth and the planets, of course the planet, has no country boundaries. And when you're trying to solve problems that get more complex every year, science does not get simpler, science gets more complex. You need colleagues and collaborations that are international. And by making data and software and all of the research outcomes available to any researcher in any country, you are helping with those collaborations, and therefore you have better science outcomes. Imagine if you were from a country, let's say it's a well-off country, and you were looking at perhaps a low-income or a middle-income country, and you never partnered with anyone in that country. You couldn't possibly understand the results in the same way that someone from that country can understand them. So it's really important to partner from the very beginning, design, co-develop, research. This concept of parachute science is not okay. You should not go into somebody's backyard and start to do research without asking for first their permission, seeking collaboration in a way that actually informs your work prior to determining what your approach is going to be. Our research benefits from diversity of teams. There's also quite a lot of research right now on gender diversity for research teams. One of my colleagues, Alison Specht, has just published a paper with her co-authors looking at the impacts, the innovative impacts from research. And in her findings indicate that when you have equitable male-female balance on a team, you actually have higher probability of more innovative results. And granted, her paper is a single paper, but there are others who are doing this same research, and by including a broad number of people that represent different aspects and backgrounds and experiences. Now, certainly it could be the same. You need folks from the disciplines that are required for the actual research, but a researcher is more than just their discipline. It's their lived experiences, their ability to communicate, their ability to collaborate, their ability to seek out and question not only themselves but the world around them. And the more diverse those teams are, the more we're going to learn about our world and the people we live with. In the United States, fair data, we started learning about it in 2016 when the paper, the Fair Guiding Principles, was published in Nature. This is a seminal paper. Congratulations to all those co-authors. This is one of the most highly cited paper that I work with. And globally, we see incredible investment by the European Commission, in Australia, and a lot of the partner countries that work within those spaces. In the United States, we're moving that direction. I would say that we're continuing to work towards those ideals. Right now, the focus, 2023, is the year of open science in the United States. This is very exciting, but I feel that if we spent a little more time focusing on the elements around FAIR data such that our data was really well described where the funding is coming within the United States. I want to mention that many teams are international teams. So we're influenced by not only the countries that we come from, but our collaborators and partners, the countries that they're from. And trying to lean into the value of well-documented data and software, data such that it can be not only used for the research that we're doing today, but likely, especially within the Earth and Space Sciences, used for the research of tomorrow. And the more we can understand it, and the more we can be able to, I'll use the word trust, but that's a difficult word. What does trust mean exactly? If that data is not only understandable by humans, but also understandable by machines, such that the volume of data, the volume of information is easier for our community to identify, discover, and use, FAIR data will have been an important investment of time and money and resources for the future of research. The culture change around open science and FAIR data is really challenging. Researchers are charged with, a funder will ask a researcher, what is it that you would like to, what is the question that you're asking, what is the scientific driven question, and what will be the broader impact to the community? Those are common questions that funders are asking to be reported on. And when I am, perhaps I'm a field researcher, or I've spent decades of my life building the James Webb telescope, for instance. It took a long time for that data to come back from a successful launch. It takes a long time to design field work where you're collecting the data in the hot sun, and you feel a lot of ownership of that. You want that data to be used by you for your research until you feel like you've done everything and written everything. Where we'd like to tweak our researchers' thinking on this is that data is valuable to your research, but it's also valuable to others. And we'd like to see you recognized for having collected it and curated it and made it available to others, and that institutions and funders and societies can take a look at that contribution that you've made, not just in the science and research, but also in the collection of that data. When you're able to do that, and we're able to actually demonstrate that it's no longer possible for you to scoop another researcher, because that's a term that's used when you weren't perhaps ready to publish on that data, but you did make it available and somebody else published something on it. It's disheartening for a researcher to see that happen because they wanted to have first access. When that kind of behavior is no longer possible, because we are giving attribution, and the value of having contributed that data set reflects very well and significantly on the researcher that collected the data, then the balance of fear that somebody will that sharing my data will result in my not being able to publish, that will start to dissipate. When that culture change takes place and the infrastructure is there, the policies are in place, that's when we're going to see the most significant impacts. It is a joy to be here to celebrate SciELO's 25th anniversary. For this meeting, I represent the Research Data Alliance. I am the co-chair of the Organizational Assembly, and the Research Data Alliance has members from all over the world. And during one of the council meetings, it was observed emphatically that we need to be more intentional as an international organization for equitable participation in countries in South America, in Africa, in the continent of Africa, and even in Eurasian countries, in Asian countries. There's not as much representation. And I personally have a relationship with SciELO on a grant that I'm working with. Solange Santos is on that grant. And what I've learned is there's an incredible opportunity for knowledge exchange if we intentionally build those relationships. So I introduced SciELO, specifically Solange, to the work that we were doing at the Research Data Alliance, made her aware of the opportunity to join the Organizational Assembly. She discussed this with Professor Packer, and they joined. They are one of the very few lower middle income organizations that represent a lower middle income country, and we are so delighted to have their observations. As a matter of fact, one of the very first communications, one of the very first talks that Solange gave to the Organizational Assembly was the value of the support that the Research Data Alliance gives to any organization. That as a member, she and SciELO in general can now participate in the working groups that are focused on publication, that are focused on data citation and software citation, to help the researchers and the other publishing organizations that are represented by SciELO to implement all of the techniques, best practices that are being developed at this international platform. And we are so delighted to have them join. So it is 10-year anniversary for RDA, 25 for SciELO. And we could not have partnered we could have partnered sooner, but I'm glad we did now. And we look forward to learning even more from SciELO and their community.